Welcome to Empowerment Radio. My name is Dr. Friedemann, and I'm so glad that you decided to join me. Empowerment Radio is about giving you the insights, tools, and solutions to address some of the most challenging aspects of our daily lives. So sit back, relax, and empower yourself. Welcome to Empowerment Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Friedemann, and I hope you're having a great Thursday. Well, today we're talking about thoughts. Well, we all have a lot of thoughts, don't we? I mean, some estimate that we may have between 30 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Some people say it's about 3,000 that we have an hour, and so 60 a minute, 1 a second. Maybe it's more, but most of those thoughts we're not even aware of. They're just flying by and we don't really pay attention. But then once in a while, there is a thought that just sticks out like a frog on a birthday cake. You just feel like, what happened? You may cross a bridge and all of a sudden there is a thought about, what if I just drive off the bridge? Or you are in a high building and wonder, could I jump? How would that be? Can I trust myself not to jump? These intrusive thoughts, and there are more, and we're going to get into them in a moment. These intrusive thoughts can really stress you out, can create a lot of anxiety, and can make you feel that there is something wrong with you, that there is something in your mind happening that is twisted. And what do you do with those thoughts? Well, most of us are able to eventually let them go. But then there are those times that we also have experienced where all of a sudden those thoughts become sticky and they come back and they haunt you and you get scared and you feel like bombarded by them. And for some reason, there is a relentless recurrence of the same thoughts over and over again, and you really feel like you're losing your mind. And what can you do when you have those intrusive, you could even call them invasive thoughts that you really feel out of control with? Are you out of control? Or is there actually something we can do? Well, today I want to talk about 4 steps on how to deal with those thoughts and how to address them. Because believe it or not, if you are dealing with those thoughts, you are not alone. There are so many people that have these challenges where they are watching their mind, just presenting them with images and these recurrent themes, and they just don't know what to do, and they become more and more anxious and more overwhelmed. So let's sort through this little mental chaos that's going on there and see what we can do. Well, first of all, I like to categorize these thoughts into just different themes. So the first one would be the theme of self-doubt. So the self-doubting thoughts could be, let's just go right with the most disturbing one, which is you're standing in the kitchen and you're just cutting the onions, and all of a sudden there's a thought of, what if I would take the knife and stab my husband? Sounds terrible, right? But I'm sure a lot of you had thoughts like this. Or it could be, again, a thought of self-harm, something where you wonder if you could actually hang yourself or kill yourself. And I'm saying those things because I want you to realize these are not abnormal thoughts. These are thoughts a lot of people have, and it's not something that is only unique to you. And then there are the thoughts about those sexual themes where you feel all of a sudden worried that you could be attracted to the wrong people, that you may be a pedophile, that you may have an attraction for your mother or your father. Thoughts that feel in the moment ludicrous, but then when you are letting them just become bigger and bigger in your mind because they scare you, they take hold and then they start haunting you. There can be also thoughts that bring doubt about your beliefs. Do I really love my wife? Am I really still into my kids? Could I just leave them one day? Or when I'm praying, do I just go through the motions? Do I actually believe that there is a God? Or looking at the state of the world, I have my doubts. So again, thoughts that may come up and they may stay. So these are the thoughts of self-doubt. And of course, the crown jewel of those thoughts is when you're doubting your mental state, where you just basically feel like, well, I'm going crazy. I have to submit myself into a ward because obviously there is something wrong with me because I have those thoughts. And then you definitely go into this feeling of disconnection to yourself and to your mind. Now, the second category is the worry thought. Now, a worry thought is more about, the what ifs. What if I run out of money? What if I have cancer? What if this pain in my chest means I'm getting a heart attack? So those what if thoughts are, usually associated also with some kind of a anxiety and stress and feeling powerless. And the more you look at those thoughts as maybe they are telling me the truth, the more they are becoming just that only thing that you can think of. And then there are thoughts that are replaying thoughts. I watched when I was maybe 14 years old, and that was certainly my mistake. I watched what is it called? The Exorcist. If you ever seen The Exorcist, the little girl that is vomiting green stuff and her head is spinning. And when I watched it, not knowing what I was getting into, and I had a recurring thought about that movie and that girl and what happened and her scary voice every Wednesday, because it was a Wednesday when I watched it for several years. So my mind was ruminating about this, which was for me a trauma and wasn't able to let go. This can happen if something happened to you, if you had an accident, if maybe someone attacked you, or again, if there is something that you have seen and you just cannot let go of. So this can become some kind of an obsession in your mind about something that it just needs to work itself through. Another replaying thoughts can be a thought about someone you loved. And maybe that person left you, betrayed you, disappointed you. And then there is this obsession about the person. You cannot let go of the images that are replaying in your mind about what happened to you. And that may also bring up then the obsession of wanting to have revenge and anger, having these thoughts that are coming up about how that would look like if you actually could lash out and create some payback. And then there are thoughts also of guilt. I had a client once who, I think for almost 20 years, recurrently thought about a scene from when he was just in his late teens. And he was in a bar fight with a stranger. And he was attacked and he just defended himself. And one way to defend himself was taking a bottle that was on the table and hitting the guy over the head. Well, he started bleeding, and this way, this client got away. But that image of that bleeding guy and the question, what did I do to him? Is his face disfigured now for the rest of his life? And the guilt that came with it was also something that just recurrently came up in his mind, and he could not let go of it. And it created even a health issue for him until he finally was able to work through that guilt and forgive himself. So you can see these thoughts can just easily become kind of a world inside of you on its own. And they can literally take all your attention. Now, the problem with the thought is not necessarily the thought itself. The problem with an invasive or intrusive thought is how we react to it and how we interpret it. Because what happens is that we have a thought, and then that thought scares us because we feel like, oh, what if the thought is true? Or What if we act upon it? Or what does it really mean about it? And then this anxiety is literally blowing up the thought, and it's just pulling more of those thoughts in. So it's not the thought, it is our interpretation, our reaction that makes those thoughts sometimes so unbearable. So, what can we do? How do we overcome those thoughts? Can we just stop them, turn them off? Do we have to listen to them? What is the next step? Well, when we come back, we'll talk about that. So stay tuned.